Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Izuku has an evolved version of One for All, Deku x Momo, part 3. So before we start, go check out the author of this fanfic, Ultimate Dankness 112, link is in the description, also subscribe to our channel, and like this video, so let's begin the video. UA Staff Room, 10:40 AM. So, how was the heroics class with 1B? I hope they didn't give you much trouble, Vlad King asked All Might. Not at all, one it gave me more trouble. Your class performed very well. They worked fluently, hence why I finished training them 20 minutes earlier, All Might replied. I know it's not in my place to ask this, but have you made any progress with your son? All Might let out a depressed sigh. No, he's completely avoiding me. There wasn't even any teacher-student interaction between us during the heroic class. Nearly everyone would ask questions, excluding him, and he would answer questions with grunts. It's like there wasn't anything between us in the first play. All Might stopped talking when he remembered the phone call from 10 months ago. Flashback. No, I'm not coming back, All Might. Izuku, please don't say things like that, we wanted to tell you for the longest time but what huh? Afraid that some villain will try to abduct me, afraid that I would be crushed after hearing that my dad is the NO1 hero and my mom is NO17 hero and I don't have any quirk, or afraid that I would become a spoiled egotistical child. Which excuse is it, please do tell. We. Both of you have no clue what I've been through the past 10 years. And I always thought that you hated me for being quirkless, which you probably do. No, we could never possibly hate you, please Dawn. I don't want to hear anything you have to say anymore, I have made up my mind, I am not coming back, never, and please don't call me your son, any relation we had, is broken. Flashback end. Any relation we had, is broken, those words rung in All Might's mind. It truly is hopeless, isn't it? Izuku Yagi is no longer mine, and Inko's son, All Might thought with a grim realization. Vlad, do you still have the records for the application forms? All Might asked, curious whose names he entered in the form. Yeah, we keep them for 17 months before we delete them. We even keep a record of cancelled forms. Could you find out Izuku's form? No problem. Vlad then connected to the storage server and searched for Izuku Yagi. To his surprise, there were 2 results. One from 10 months ago, the other from 12 months ago. That's strange, Vlad said. What's strange? All Might questioned. It seems that Izuku applied 2 times, although he cancelled the first application. All Might walked over to Vlad's computer and saw the 2 results. Results. 1 name. Izuku Yagi. 12 school. Aldera Junior High, Musatafu, Japan. Blood group. Awkward. Nil sex. Male, father's name. Toshinori Yagi, phone number. 08072991738292, occupation. Real estate agent in Tokyo. Home address. Midori Street, House No. 172, Yagis Musatafu. Mother's name. Inko Yagi, phone number. 08062826383928, occupation. Businesswoman in Tokyo. Home address. Midori Street, House No. 172, Yagis Musatafu. Guardian's name. Mitsuki Bakugu, and phone number. 08083947283016, home address. Akakasai Street, House No. 136, Bakugu's Mustafa. Mock test results, if applied. 97%. He kept trying even when he thought he had no quirk, even when we discouraged him. And his mock test results, they're better than Katsuka's. Then he saw the application photo, and nervous Izuku, the old, shy, nervous, and warm Izuku Yagi, the sweet cinnamon roll. The cinnamon roll they left alone for most of his life. Note. Application cancelled. All Might then saw the date and remembered that it was cancelled the day after the sludge incident. Then he looked at the second result. The first thing he noticed was the photograph and the magnitude of change. Izuku wore the iconic Rhine Middle School uniform with the cross on the left arm. His hair was no longer curly and green, but blonde and trimmed. His nervous look and gaze were replaced by a confident, no bullshit glare. And although All Might was happy because of how far Izuku had come, he was sad that Izuku was no longer their cinnamon roll, their warm bundle of joy. He was a different individual now, someone with no connection with Toshinori and Inko Yagi, except for the name and blood. And the details given on the second form confirmed it. Do name. Izuku Yagi. 13 school. Rheinmittel Advanced Education, Dusseldorf, Germany. Blood group. Awkward. Super Enhancements X. Male, father's name. Nil phone number. Nil occupation. Nil home address. Nil mother's name. Nil phone number. Nil occupation. Nil home address. Nil guardian's name. Nil phone number. 08076284747282 home address. Highland Office, City Center, Main Road, Musatafu. All Might stared at all the nil spaces, thinking that at some point there were his and Inko's name, number, and address filled in them. After a few seconds of staring, he wondered how Izuku was able to join school with the Guardian's name blank in the form. Lad, how did the form get accepted? It doesn't have the Guardian's name. It was submitted by the people from the Highland office directly. Apparently, Izuku was mentored by Adelbert Schmidt till his death 10 months ago. Schmidt. He was a good person. If Izuku was mentored by him, then I have no doubt that Izuku will turn out to be a good man. You should call Inko to tell her to come here. Maybe both of you being here may have some effect on him, Vlad, and All Might turned to the door to see Nezu. I will, as soon as her mission is over, which it should be after a few hours although it's too late now. All Might looked down. He has completely disowned us. But I think that's what we deserve for ignoring him and his problems for all these years. We deserve it after the mistakes we made. Everyone makes mistakes, but mistakes will remain as mistakes unless we correct them. Plus, don't you think that you've given up too early? Nezu said, a smile on his face. You're right. I am All Might and I will give my all to gain back my son's trust and love. There was a knock on the door. Come in, Nezu said. The door opened to reveal Titan in her hero costume. What a pleasant surprise. In an instant All Might was next to her and gave her a hug which she gladly returned. Alright honey, no need to overexert yourself, Inko scolded, and All Might quickly deflated. Inko, it's been so long. Why didn't you visit all these days? Moreover, you forgot your promise of sending me your special cookies every 3 months. Nezu said. The principal was a type of an uncle to them for as long as they could remember. Sorry, too caught up with hero work and stuff like that. But don't worry, I'll bake some today for all the staff members. I'll even add dry fruits. So how was your first 3 days as a teacher at UA? But actually, although I have a very big surprise for you. Before All Might could tell what the surprise was, Inko's eyes fell on the monitor with Izuku's new picture. She immediately recognized who it was, since a mother recognizes her child, no matter how long she's seen them or how much they change appearance-wise. Her legs moved on their own, and seconds later, she was next to the computer. Ashi, is that Izuku? Yes, Toshinori sword in his Ofa form. Inko was on the verge of tears. How? He unlocked his quirk and Acker. All Might was about to say something when the door abruptly opened and a very stressed out Ida entered the room. Villains attacked the USJ. 13 is badly injured. The principal immediately took action. Vlad, call all the teachers and tell them to go to the car park. Titan, All Might, I want you to reach the USJ ASAP. Understood, Titan said as she and All Might rushed outside. All Might picked Titan up, bridal style, and launched himself towards the USJ. USJ. Momo was walking towards Izuku when she saw that he collapsed on the floor. Izuku. She shouted and ran to Izuku's side. Minutes ago, Mountain's own. All it will take is a simple high voltage shock to the head, so unless you want your friend to die a very slow death, I'd suggest you drop your weapon, the villain with the electricity quirk who was jamming the signal said. He somehow managed to get behind Jiru and got a hold of her. Now be a good friend and drop your weapon. Don't worry about me, Yaoi Rozu. Don't do it. Jiru shouted. Damn it. Then out of nowhere, Kirishima jumped from behind and karate chopped the villain. That was close. They momentarily stopped talking when they felt shock waves. But they didn't feel any air as the mountain was protecting them. Holy crap. Did you feel the shock waves? The class rep is beating the shit out of the shit of the villain. Kirishima, is everything okay? Where are the other students? How is 13? Momo asked. Most of them are safe, as Awa-sensei was badly injured and Kaminari, Sayu, and Mineta were about to be caught by the villains, but all of them were saved by Yagi. Speaking of which, he told me to give you this as soon as possible. He gave the gauntlet to Momo, who immediately read the note. Seconds later, her hands began to glow as she quickly made the 7 grenades. She then saw something that horrified her. Next to the note, there was a transparent image of a human body with the ribs and right lung highlighted red and the left lung highlighted yellow. At these to Izuku, as fast as you can harden your body and stay low to the ground while moving to avoid being blown away by the wind. He doesn't have much time. I never asked anything from God before, but today I beg to you to keep him safe. Momo closed her eyes in silent prayer. After Kirishima left, she made her way to the viewpoint and used her quirk to make binoculars. Then she saw him, fighting with everything he had, despite being injured. He's hiding, no fighting through the pain. Present time. First thing she did was put her head against his chest, begging to God Almighty that he was alive and breathing. After confirming he was alive, Momo quickly put the gauntlet back on his left arm and tapped resynchronize with suit, hoping that Izuku had healed himself before any permanent damage was done to his body, and to her relief, he did. I think he passed out after healing himself. Thank God Momo knew about Izuku's quirk and how it functioned. He told her about it when he walked her to the hotel after the battle training. I'm going to murder him as soon as he wakes up. Why does he have to be so heroic? Doesn't he know that there are people who would be shattered if anything happened to him? But then again, that's what heroes do, that's what we signed up for, risking our own lives for others. That's what my parents and our children will feel if something happens to me or Izuku. Wait, what? Children, Izuku. Momo was blushing 1,000 shades of red. That was too far, Momo. What the hell did my parents put into my brain? She saw that the other 3 students were approaching her and somehow managed to compose herself. What happened to him? Todoroki asked. He passed out from exhaustion after healing himself, Momo answered. Healing himself? Deku looked fine to me when he fought that thing. Bakugo was surprised at himself that he was actually talking about Izuku without saying useless or trash. He may have looked like he was alright, but the truth is he fought against that thing with a couple of broken ribs, a ruptured right lung, and a damaged left lung. This shocked the others. His pain tolerance and determination to protect others is off the charts, she said. Kirishima, I need your help to carry him outside. Jiro should have already called for an ambulance, she said. With Kirishima's help, she managed to bring Izuku up the stairs and to the entrance, with Bakugo and Todoroki following behind. There she saw that most of the other students who were warped to different zones had also returned. Is everyone alright? Momo asked. All of the students nodded. What happened to Yagi? Kaminari asked. No need to worry about him, he's just exhausted. I want all of you to help carefully carry Aizawa-sensei and 13 outside, she commanded. Unknown location, Karaok. All those underlings wiped out all of the villains I brought together. All Might wasn't even there, Tamura said as he scratched his neck. We failed, those kids were so strong. You were wrong about those kids, Master, so wrong. No, I wasn't. We were not as prepared as we should have been. I agree, we underestimated them. Thankfully we failed under the cheap League of Villains name rather than our own. And what about the creature your master and I created? What about Nomu? Yes, why is he not present here? He's dead. What? We made him stronger than All Might. The brat got him. The brat? Yes, he managed to hold his own against Nomu. He toyed with Nomu and treated him like he was no big deal before force-feeding him thermite grenades, Kurogiri said. What did he look like? I won't forget his face until I kill him. He had blonde hair and green eyes, Tamura said with anger. Interesting, blonde hair and as powerful as All Might. Naturally, you're upset, but the mission was not futile. We learned a great many things. Gather the villainous elite, take all the time you need. I must remain hidden in the shadows, which is why I need you to be my face, a symbol of your own. Tamura Shigaraki, next time you will show the world why it should be afraid of you. Yes, Jay. As the students were about to exit the facility, All Might and Titan rushed in. Have no fear, for we are here. Are all of you okay? All Might declared. The students are mostly unharmed. 13 and Eraserhead are severely wounded, but we have already called for an ambulance, Momo replied. Both of the pros' eyes then fell on Izuku. What about him? Titan asked with concern, hoping that nothing serious happened to Izuku. He's just exhausted, to be honest. If he hadn't arrived when he did, most of the students, along with Aizawa-sensei, would have been. She didn't complete the sentence. What do you mean? I mean that Izuku saved Aizawa-sensei and 3 other students. He also took down about 100 villains who were going to attack the students present near the entrance. Both All Might and Titan were feeling proud after hearing this. He also defeated and killed a genetically engineered humanoid which was made to kill All Might, Todoroki said. Made to kill All Might? Everyone was terrified after hearing this. What do you mean kill All Might? Titan questioned. The villains attacked this place to kill All Might. They called themselves the League of Villains and somehow managed to create a creature they called Nomu. It had 4 quirks. Super regeneration, super strength, super speed, and shock absorption. Titan and All Might looked at each other. They were both thinking the same thing. When Yagi was taunting the ringleader, the villain was extremely confident that the Nomu was more powerful than you at your 100%, Todoroki explained. Which means that either the Nomu was weak or Yagi is more powerful than All Might at his 100%. The Nomu was only following orders and was unable to counter most of Yagi's punches. Which meant it had no intelligence of its own. It was like a type of drone. This statement made everyone silent. More powerful than All Might, Mineta said in awe. That explains the speed and strength he demonstrated in the Central Plaza, Zero asked. He was holding back when he fought against the villains in the Central Plaza. Holding back, most of the students thought. He began using his full power during the fight with the Nomu, not to mention the fact that he was fighting it with a couple of broken ribs and damaged lungs, Kirishima said. Both of the parents were extremely worried now. All Might, it's very important that you carry him to the nearest hospital. Lung damage is extremely dangerous, Titan said with motherly concern. That won't be necessary, he completely healed himself. Momo assured the pro-heroes. Then they realized what Kirishima just said. So what you're saying is, young Izuku may be more powerful than me, even when he is injured. Todoroki just nodded. Soon after, the cops and ambulances arrived and picked up Izuku, 13, and Izawa. Momo decided to go with them. A few minutes later, the teachers arrived. The police apprehended the villains, and the dead body of Nomu was sent to the forensic lab. That day, Wana learned what pros could do, what they fight against to keep them safe, and what happens if they fail. It was a revelation that they weren't prepared for, but somehow they managed to make it through and survive. 15, 16, 17, 18, everyone seemed to be unharmed, leaving out that boy with the blonde hair. Bajiro, I heard you were a really good fighter, I had no idea you were so strong, Toru said. I didn't know I was the only one on my own. I survived by using hit and run tactics. So where did you end up fighting in, Hagakure? The landslide zone, she said, as she pointed towards Todoroki. You wouldn't believe how strong Todoroki was. He's amazing. You don't say. Well, I'm just glad that you didn't get hurt, Ajiro said with a chuckle. I didn't even know she was there, I could have frozen her, Todoroki thought. Aren't you wondering about moi? Where was my sparkling light, Yuga asked with sparkling glamour, but was ignored. Interesting, so the people you fought were also low-level thugs, Tokoyami asked Kirishima and Kaminari. Yeah, they messed with the wrong kids. Although the villains Yagi fought were actual villains, Kirishima replied. Yeah, he saved my life according to the others, Kaminari said. Did you miss me? Yuga asked, only to be ignored again. So Yagi is as powerful as All Might, Zero said. That's just hardcore power. Yeah, that was crazy, Sato and Shoji agreed. Where do you think, Yuga asked as he tapped on Sayu's shoulder. Where? That's a secret, he answered. Let's go ahead and get these students back to the main campus. They've been through a lot, we don't need to question them right away, Detective Namasa said to a police officer. Detective, what about Mr. Izawa, 13, and Yagi? Sayu asked. The detective took out his phone and called the hospital where Izawa and the other two were. The bones in his arms are splintered and he's got facial fractures. Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be any serious brain damage, but his orbital floor has been almost completely destroyed. We have no way of knowing if his eyesight will be impaired once he's healed up, the doctor said. Well, you heard the man. Sir, what about the others? Mina asked. There's no need to worry about 13, despite some pretty bad injuries to the back, 13's pulled through good as new. As for Yagi, he is completely unharmed. He was just exhausted. He's currently being given an energy restoration drip and will be free to go home once he gains consciousness. Every student was happy after hearing those words. Now let's get you back to class. Okay, everyone said in unison. Sansa, I still have some business in the USA, I'll leave this to you, he said to the cat policeman. Yes sir, the cat saluted. It's a cat. Oh, look at his belt. Uraraka and Mina thought. How was that Deku so fast? I need to ask what All Might Bakugo thought as he remembered the speed with which Izuku took out the villains. And I don't remember asking for any help from him, he scowled. Come on man, we're going back to class now. Kirishima called out. Yeah, I heard him, you idiot. Inside the USJ. I can't believe the ringleaders managed to escape after everything they did here, Midnight said. They had a warp quirk user according to the student, Snipe commented. They did catch us completely by surprise. Izuku did his best by saving Izawa and the other students and fighting against the Nomu, which is supposedly more powerful than All Might. That alone is an incredible feat shown by a hero in training, but we must not forget that's what he is, a hero in training, a first year at that. But for now, we need security improvements, perhaps an entire system overhaul, Nezu said. Agreed, Snipe replied. Warp quirks are very rare and can completely change the course of a battle. It's frightening to know that a villain has such a power, Midnight commented. Principal Nezu, Sir All Might called. Long time no see, how have you been? Midnight called out. Hey Namuri. As the two best friends were talking to each other, All Might ushered Nezu outside. Multiple quirks, so you think that he has returned? Yes, it's entirely possible. I'll call Night Eye and Gran Torino and tell them to come here, All Might answered, fearing the worst. All Might turned to look at the source to see an old friend and schoolmate. Namasa, it's been a while. It sure has. First things first, how's 13 and Izawa? Don't worry, both of the teachers are in stable condition right now, relax. That's good to hear. To be honest, who knows what would have happened if that blonde-haired student hadn't arrived. He saved his entire class today. They all risked their lives today, fought as hard as us. I don't think there's ever been a group of first years who experienced a real fight so early in their training and not only survived, but also learned what it means to be a pro. Those villains made a mistake attacking them. This class is strong. They're filled with courage and drive, mark my words, they'll become great heroes, All Might said as he looked towards the sky. The teachers standing behind All Might couldn't help but agree. Nezu and Namasa only smiled. Sir, I would like to investigate every inch of the school just to be safe. Of course, please do. You'll have full access to the campus. We definitely need your assistance on this matter. I don't care who makes a fuss, you have my blessing. Thank you, sir. First and foremost, we need the code to the CCTV cameras of the facility to identify the main culprits. But for that you'll have to wait until 13 is discharged, since only she knows the codes. I'll come back as soon as I get the footage and information on whatever we found out. Teams proceed as planned, Namasa commanded the policeman. Hospital, 2 hours later. Izuku was flying. The same sky from 11 months ago. But this time, someone was on his back. Izuku turned his head to see Momo in her hero costume, holding a small bundle of clothes in her arms, smiling lovingly. He smiled back at her as he somehow knew what the bundle was. But all good things came to an end and he woke up from his dream. Izuku's eyes shot open. He just stared at the ceiling for a few seconds before blushing madly. What the fuck was that dream? I know I like her a lot, but that dream was too far. I don't even know if she likes me, Izuku thought. Just then, the door opened. Izuku turned to see Momo's father coming in. You're finally awake. Izuku sat up with great effort and wanted to get out of bed, but was stopped by Mr. Yaoyorozu. Don't move, you're still very tired. Momo called us and told everything about the attack and how heroic you were, and honestly, I couldn't be happier that someone like you is her friend. Momo's father told him with a smile. Thank you, Izuku said with a hoarse voice. The door opened again, and this time it was Momo and her mother carrying what looked like food. Momo quickly rushed over to his side and hugged him, completely ignoring the grins of her parents. She knew that Izuku was alright, but she couldn't stop herself. Don't you ever rush into danger alone ever, she said while still hugging him. I won't. He replied by hugging back. He was very happy that at least someone cared about him on a personal level. They would have kept on hugging, but stopped when they saw flashes of light. They turned around to see the older Yaoyorozu taking pictures on their phone. Oh, why did you stop? Mrs. Yaoyorozu whined. I think that you too, Lou. We brought lunch. Momo's father was about to say something, but was interrupted by Momo shouting. Wait, what about Izawa-sensei and 13 and the students? Izuku shouted. They're in stable condition and the students are safe with the teachers. Don't worry about them. Now eat, Momo commands. You didn't have grow well, sorry. Izuku was about to protest, but was silenced by his stomach growling and turned bright red. The Yaoyorozu just snickered. Izuku quietly ate the food and Momo's father went to call the doctor. After which her parents dropped them off at UA, but not before inviting Izuku to dinner. UA. Izuku and Momo were walking through the hallway towards their class after changing to their normal attire. They reached their class and, as soon as Izuku opened the door, everyone's eyes were on him. That wouldn't be bad, but all the teachers, leaving out All Might, were present there too, all of them staring at him. Someone who he didn't expect there to be was his mother. They're back, Nezu asked. Yup, the doctor discharged me as soon as I was able to walk. Holy shy crap, man, the way you fought at the USJ was freaking awesome. Zero exclaimed. Which was followed by almost everyone praising and thanking him. Alright everyone, calm down. The principal has announcements to make. Yagi, Yaoyorozu, take your seats, Samantha said. Then the principal proceeded to praise all the students for their bravery. He thanked Iida for informing them and Izuku for saving Izawa and some of the students. He also said that the school will remain closed on Monday. But before he dismissed the class, he asked the one question that made everyone silent. Before you leave, Yagi, I must ask you one question. Okay? Is it true that you are as powerful as All Might? It is 100%. This question got everyone's attention. Especially Titan, Todoroki, and Bakugo. Izuku thought for a second before answering. Maybe. What do you mean by maybe? Everyone was holding on for dear life when you fought against that Nomu thing. Kirishima exclaimed. And everyone agreed. Yeah, we could feel the air even from the entrance, Sai said. So much for being equal, Mineta said. Alright everyone, calm down. Your parents may be worried about you. So hurry on everyone. With that, Nezu and the teachers left the room. Hey Yaoyorozu, wanna exchange numbers, for school-related things? Izuku asked. Yeah sure, she replied. And although it may have looked like they were two class reps sharing numbers to talk about school things, the truth was both of them couldn't stop thinking about each other. and Momo's accidental thoughts and Izuku's dreams didn't help them one bit. As Izuku and Momo were going home, Izuku stopped by an ice cream store and bought ice cream for both of them. They talked about random things when she saw her limousine had arrived. "I guess I'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget about the dinner." "I won't." Momo was walking towards the car when she turned around, kissed Izuku on the cheeks, and quickly walked to the car, leaving behind a dumbfounder Izuku with his hand on his cheek. She opened the door only to see her grinning parents. "Oh no." After a few minutes of awkward silence, her mother spoke up. "Would you just tell him already?" "I will. Because if you don't, we'll tell him tomorrow. I don't even know if he likes me or not." "Of course he likes you," her father assured. "But..." Ting. She was interrupted by her phone. She unlocked it to see that it was a message from Izuku. Her heart leapt with joy once she read the message. "Izuku. Thanks for that, I really needed it." "Momo. No problem. Looks like someone's happy," her father teased. Momo only gave them a smile. A smile that no one till date, leaving out Izuku, saw. A smile that made her parents the happiest people in the world. "Looks like someone really is happy," her mother said. Izuku was standing where Momo left him, talking to himself about what just happened and how he felt. Is this love? Because I think it's a lot more than I like her kind of feeling. I better send her a message before she thinks she overstepped the boundaries. He took out his phone and quickly sent her a message. "Izuku. Thanks for that, I really needed it." "Momo. No problem." UA meeting room, 8:37 p.m. All the UA faculty members were sitting on their seats, waiting for Namasa to bring the CCTV footage of what happened at the USJ earlier today. The door opened to reveal All Might, followed by Titan, Gran Torino, Night Eye, and Namasa. "Gran Torino, I see you've aged well," Nezu said. "Like fine wine," Present Mick said. "Please, all of you take your seats," Nezu requested, and everyone did. Soon after, the lights were turned off and Namasa turned on the projector. The first picture was of Nomu. As you can see, this was supposedly the thing that was meant to kill All Might. After using DNA tracking, we found out that it was nothing but a small-time thug. But his DNA was heavily modified. It had a total of 4 quirks. Super strength, super speed, regeneration, and shock absorption. The perfect combination to take out All Might. He would have been useless to us even if he was alive, as after examining his brain, we found out that the only thing it was capable of was following orders and nothing more. According to a student, the main man behind the attack was more than confident that it would be able to defeat All Might. But was stopped by a student. Which means either the villain was lying or the student was as powerful as All Might. Whichever it is, it will be decided after we see the footage. Namasa then began to play the footage. The teachers then saw how 13 were taken out, how the students were warped to different parts of the facility, and finally how Aizawa was wounded. The thugs were crowding around Aizawa, and the main villain was about to get a hold of the 3 students in the water zone. How were they saved? Was the collective thought of the teachers and Namasa. Plunk. They changed the camera footage to see that the doors were blown off of their hinges and saw a blonde person in a golden white hero suit enter the facility. Good thing that the stupid ceremony ended early and I met Iida on the way, and now you'll pay for invading my Schulbfor. The detective was able to change the camera footage, the person disappeared and reappeared, but with Aizawa and the students from the shipwreck zone over his shoulders. Take care of Aizawa-sensei, you saved us, we thanks Yagi. Yagi? Namasa paused the video and frowned. Ashinori knew he was a dead man when he felt the glare of Night Eye, Namasa, and worst of all Gran Torino on his back. He slowly turned around. Now I know why Titan was missing for an entire year, Namasa said. I can explain. Then All Might explained everything from the beginning. Ashinori, Inko, you were dead the moment you walk out of this room. Not only did you two have a child and not tell me anything about it, but you two also managed to ruin the relationship you and your son had. Gran Torino scolded with so much severity that it made everyone with the exception of Nezu shake and sweat. But for now I think it would be better if we watch the footage. Namasa unpaused the video. Where are the others? One of the villains warped them to different parts of the facility. At first I thought they were gone for good, but I used my quirk and figured out that they have been teleported to different parts. Where is Yayoi Rozu? She's in the landslide zone with Jiru, and who might you be? My name doesn't matter, but I will make you pay for what you've done. Namasa switched to the camera footage that overlooked the central plaza. All the pros and the detective could only watch in silence as Izuku fought and defeated about 100 villains within a minute. Gran Torino was about to say something but was silenced by what All Might said next. He was holding back. What? Night Eye asked with wide eye. His classmate told me he didn't use his full power until he starts fighting the Nomu. They watched Izuku getting hit and how Todoroki and the others came to help him. All of them watched in horror as the limbs of the Nomu grew back. This thing does have multiple quirks, and all it does is follow orders. All Might was sure that his old nemesis was back, considering that the Nomu could only take orders and had no intelligence of its own. Just like how people would go insane after being given quirks by AFO and have no intelligence anymore. Then they watched Izuku take the hit for Bakugo. Self-sacrifice is the trait of a true hero, all of them thought. Although the parents were worried about their son more than anything else. I think he stops holding back now. Don't forget that by this point, he had broken multiple ribs, ruptured his right lung, and damaged his left lung. The Almighty said, much to the shock of everyone else. Hiroshima, catch, run, and give the gauntlet to Yaoi Rozu. She's at the mountain's own. You chose me as your class rep, Kirishima. Please just trust me. And don't worry about anything happening to me. I'm done holding back now. Gorajirth, if you want to get to any of my classmates, you'll have to go through me first. This kid is a true hero. Everyone thought. Helmet Monomu, kill him. They watched a fight in awe at how fast his arms were moving and how he managed to easily make the Nomu topple and fall on its back. Is this the thing that was supposed to kill All Might? It's so disappointing. Pathetic, it can't even kill a 15-year-old. Yup, he's done holding back. They all grinned. No, not possible. Nomu is more powerful than All Might. It is 100%. Then, maybe I'm more powerful than All Might. It is 100%. Wait, he's not as powerful as, but more powerful than All Might. You should probably give up and surrender, loser. The pros are about to reach the place. Don't care, I'll kill you, I'll fucking kill you if it's the last thing I do. Nomu, kill him. At a waste of time. He's treating it like it's not even a threat anymore. And that's what it looked like, from the shock waves that was felt throughout the entire building to the airspeed which ragdolled the villains around to Izuku taunting and finally killing the Nomu. They all fell for his deception. They wouldn't have been this shocked if a pro would do all that, but this was just a 15-year-old kid. But what they didn't know was how close he came to losing the fight and perhaps even dying. Thus the air pressure of his punches was enough to drag the villains around. I know you said that he got an evolved version of your quirk, but this is something else. It also creates a question, how was he able to heal himself? Night, I said. I think that he fought Nomu whilst being so badly injured. I wonder how strong he will become when he reaches his prime, Gran Torino said. I think we can agree that Izuku Yagi is as strong as, if not stronger than All Might, Nezu concluded, and everyone agreed. As soon as Inko and Toshinori left the meeting room, they were at first chewed out by Namasa and Night-Eye. Then they were kneeling down and holding their earlobes like small kids when they did something they weren't supposed to do, as Gran Torino scolded them mercilessly for keeping Izuku a secret for all these years. Then they were congratulated by the three, after which they were scolded again by Gran Torino for not putting more attention on Izuku's quirklessness, despite him telling them about his body feeling warm. After which Gran Torino showed compassion and love. Gran Torino loves them with all of his heart, but he will very rarely show it towards Toshinori and Inko and hugged them for bringing such a wonderful child and future hero into this world. A few tears of joy were also there, but Torino denied it and gave the old something was in my eye excuse. Inko then invited them to their house for dinner. All Might's house, same night. I still cannot believe you kept it a secret, Namasa said while watching the TV. How many times do you want me to say sorry? Toshinori said. Forget about that. Does any one of you have an idea of how I should try to make it up to Izuku? I think the best way is to somehow make Izuku spend time with Gran Torino, Night-Eye suggested. I agree, Gran Torino has known you for most of your life. If there is anyone who can persuade your son, it might be him, Namasa agreed. Whatever, Torino said coldly, but inside, he was jumping with joy and everyone knew that. Toshinori is like my son. Does that mean I am a grandfather now? I always wanted a grandchild. Wait, does that also make me Grandpa Torino? Torino was in his own world. I was thinking the same thing, but how do we make Izuku interact with Gran Torino? Toshinori said. The principal said that the UA Sports Festival will still be held in 2 weeks. I will send Izuku an internship offer. Your job is to make sure that he picks me. Torino stated, which surprised everyone, as moments ago, he was acting like it didn't matter to him. Yes, this could work. And since the festival will be telecasted throughout the entire country, he won't suspect that we set the internship up. He will think that Gran Torino saw him in the television, Toshinori agreed. Speaking of which, it looks like the media are doing their jobs by exaggerating the event from today. They're saying that many students got hurt and were taken to the hospital in multiple ambulances, Night-Eye commented. They somehow managed to get a photograph of all the ambulances and police vehicles parked outside the USJ. Dinner's ready, Inko called them in a sing-song voice from the dining room. Humming in a sec, Toshinori said, as he along with the others were getting up. The other ambulances weren't even necessary as Awa, 13, and Izuku were all taken by a single ambulance. Good thing they didn't get to take a picture of them and show it to the entire world. After having dinner, all of them were having a serious discussion about the possible return of All for One. Namasa, did you find any information on this Tamura Shigaraki? As of now, nothing. It seems like he is a relatively new player. We've given his photo to many of our deep undercover officers, some of whom have been undercover for a decade, but they were not able to recognize him or find anything about him. And the villains that you apprehended? Night Eye asked. They didn't know anything, all of them say that they were warped into the main hideout. And from the footage that we saw, he looked visibly upset when things didn't go according to his plan. He made immature, wild statements. He bragged about his possessions, about how much he hated you. He thought that everything would go the way he planned. Namasa explained. The picture I get of Shigaraki is someone who hasn't gotten rid of his childish sense of omnipotence. A man-child, All Might added. A child with power, Night Eye said. Could it be that he never received the quirk counseling that every child gets in elementary school? Inko asked. We arrested 177 villains today. What worries me is how a man-child was able to rally that many villains and make them follow him, even if they were just small-time thugs. The man-child, in some sense he's like the students, he still has room to grow. Maybe there is someone backing him, cultivating his malice. We should have double-checked the body. Torino commented. If he is alive and had been working in the shadows all this time, grooming his successor, that means, Night Eye said, as everyone looked towards All Might. I will have to face him again. Whoever will be my successor won't be able to prepare themselves with one for all in a short amount of time, be it Mirio or Kitsuki. But maybe, just maybe, if Izuku accepts the quirk, he might be strong enough. Unknown location. So what are your plans now? Our strongest Nomu is dead. The only Nomu that was capable of killing All Might. Oh, we don't need a powerful Nomu anymore. All Might has already chosen a successor. He'll be getting weaker by the day. The person said, as he looked at the picture of All Might and Titan. It'll only be a couple of months before the last fires of One for All will die out, and then, there won't be any symbol of peace or his family. Next morning. Inko and Toshinori were getting ready for their hero work. Torino and Night Eye left early in the morning. They had just finished eating their breakfast and decided to watch the news for any criminal activity or disasters. And there was one very big one at that. An overbridge had collapsed, causing the train to drop into the roads below and start a big fire. The train has many passengers still in it. Heroes like Kamui Woods and Death Arms were present there, but were unable to do anything because of the fire. Backdraft was also present there, but his hands were full, as he was desperately trying to keep the fire from reaching a gas station, which was located next to the collapsed overbridge. Mount Lady was on the other side of the city and wouldn't be able to reach there quickly due to her size. She had to carefully move through the city in order to not crush anyone, and so she decided to change back to her normal size and take a cab. All Might and Titan didn't waste a single second. They immediately turned the TV off, locked their house. All Might then picked up Titan bridal style and launched himself towards the eastern part of the city. While on the way, they were planning on how to deal with the situation. But they weren't prepared for what they were about to see at the disaster site. As soon as they reached the area, they saw that there were about 64 injured people being tended to by the medics. Some had severe burns, others had broken bones. It looks like a pro arrived here first, Inko said. Where's the kid? Death Arms shouted as he was trying to lift a giant slab of concrete from on top of an elderly man. He should bring the remaining 7 people any moment now. Look there. The firefighters have finally arrived. Montana Lady is with them, Kamui Woods replied through the chaos. Holy shit. That kid saved so many people. I know, right? This video is gonna get tons of views. Kinda reminds me of All Might's debut. Some bystanders said as they recorded the incident. Kid. Both All Might and Titan went to Death Arms. Is everything okay? What do you mean, kid? Titan asked. All Might, Titan, thank God you're here, I could use a hand, he said. Titan used her telekinesis to easily lift the slab, freeing the man. Give me a status report, how many people are still in there? And what is this kid you're talking about? He's freaking crazy. Appeared out of nowhere and jumped into the fire and began bringing people from the other side of the fire. He saved those people from the wreckage, 64 people within 6 minutes, only 7 more are inside, according to him, Death Arm said, as he pointed towards the injured people. Didn't you try to stop him? Inko asked. We did, but he wouldn't listen. He's doing the I will always risk my own life to save others thing, Death Arm explained. Titan, lift up the train carts, but not too high. Hey look. It's him. One of the bystanders shouted. Holy shit. How many people is he carrying this time? A bystander exclaimed. 5, 6, 7, he's carrying 7 people. Now that definitely reminds me of All Might's debut. I'm speechless. He saved all of them. A reporter said. But, why is he looking down? Please don't tell me. Oh no. Their worst fear had come true. He wasn't able to save all of them, or at least that's what the people thought. 13 minutes ago. So the USJ was attacked. The ringleader said that the creature they created was strong enough to defeat All Might, and I think it was capable of doing it. Izuku was talking on the phone while going towards the market. That is frightening if they do have a way of killing All Might. The ringleader had thrown a full-blown temper tantrum when I defeated the Nomu, and he threatened to kill me. Threatened you? Then I would suggest caution. No one knows how the criminal and villainous minds works, no way of knowing when they'll strike. Got it? Faulkner, I also recently discovered that I can make my body float. Float? Yeah. When I direct RSE throughout my entire body, it makes me float. Pryak. But I need to go, talk to you later. Izuku put the phone inside his pocket and began running towards the source of the sound. Izuku arrived at the disaster site and saw that everything was in ruins. There was fire everywhere. Heroes like Kamui Woods and Death Arms were there, controlling the crowd. But both of their quirks were useless when it came to saving people from fires. And Backdraft was trying his best to prevent the fire from reaching a gas station. Where the heck is Mount Lady? Woods asked. She's on the way, her size prevents her from moving fast. What about the firemen? The bridge collapsing had a butterfly effect throughout the eastern part of the city. They're stuck in a traffic jam. Shit, there are people still in there, Death Arm said as he looked towards the train compartments. Wait, people are still in there? Izuku activated his predator sense, and to his horror there were not just adults, but babies and children were stuck inside too. They were suffocating, trying to break the door of the train, but in vain. The parents inside were hugging their children. Even though there was chaos all around Izuku, he heard a faint whisper from two individuals stuck in the fire due to his predator sense. Everything will be fine, right mommy? Don't worry, everything will be okay. The mother said, hiding a sob. And that was it. Izuku's legs started to move on their own. What the hey, get back here. Woods called Izuku, but he did not listen and jumped into the fire. Super time. Okay, so there are 5 carts in total. I need to prioritize the carts that are on fire first. 25% to both the legs for fast movement, 25% to both arms to break the cart doors, and 20% torso should be enough to heal from burns. But that he ran to the first cart. Izuku then pulled out the doors, releasing a lot of smoke, and went inside. Is everyone alright? No response. He saw that all the passengers in the cart were unconscious. He quickly rushed to the front of the cart and got the operator out of the cockpit of the train. Then, he rushed back to take the passengers out of the cart and began to carry them 2 on his back, 2 over his shoulder, and 4 using his arms. 35% in both legs should be enough to jump to the other side. What the hell, now we have to worry about that kid. Where the heck are the firefighters? They're still stuck in TH. What the hell is that? Woods, Death Arms, the other pros, the media, and the bystanders watched as Izuku jumped from the other side of a burning overturned cart with people on his shoulder and arms. Take care of them, Izuku said as he laid the civilians on the ground. Hey. What are you doing? I'm saving them. What about yourself? I'll risk my own life if it means that I can save others, and don't worry, I can handle it. With that he jumped back into the fire again. Okay, 8 saved, how many are left? Izuku activated Predator Sense and saw that he had to save 63 other people, 21 of whom were trapped in cars under the rubble. He didn't waste any time as he moved from cart to cart and car to car, ferrying people out of the flames and smoke and bringing them to safety. The pros stopped objecting and began helping the wounded and injured. After 6 minutes, Izuku had saved 64 people. How many are left? Woods asked. 7, it'll take some time to get them as they are stuck under some rubble, Izuku answered as he prepared to go to the other side of the overturned cart. Good luck. Thanks. Izuku's t-shirt was already gone by this point. But he didn't care. He went to the other side and saw that the final cart was safe from the fire, but there were big pieces of concrete and steel rods covering it. Izuku knew if he didn't move the rubble out, the people would suffocate. And so he directed 40% to both of arms and began moving the concrete slabs behind him, unknowingly making a small staircase. As soon as he moved the rubble out of the cart entrance, he broke through the door and the first thing he saw was the mother and daughter lying on the floor. At first, he thought that he failed, but then used Predator Sense to see that they had merely passed out due to the lack of air, like the other passengers of the cart. He quickly picked them up and was about to jump to the other side, but saw the stairs he unknowingly made that led to the top of an overturned cart, which in turn led to the other side, and so he decided to use them. I'm a little tired, so meh. He was walking up the stairs slowly, looking down, carefully watching his footing. As soon as his head poked out, everyone was looking at him with anticipation, waiting for him to walk out. As he emerged from behind the cart, he stopped on top of it and was looking down, as if to say sorry. All of the people thought that he was not able to save them. Then he looked up. And he gave a small smile of genuine happiness. Everyone knew what the smile meant. And then there was an uproar. Everyone, every single person present there was cheering for him. All Might wasn't the center of attention anymore. Does anyone know his name? Izuku, All Might said. Izuku. Everyone, his name is Izuku. A bystander shouted, and seconds later the people began to chant and shout his name. Izuku. 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 The reporters, the pro-heroes, the policemen, the medics, the firefighters, and every single man, woman, and child clapping, cheering, and shouting his name. Cheering for a 15-year-old who risked his own life. But in truth they weren't cheering for a 15-year-old, no, they were cheering for a hero. A hero who acted on his own and saved 71 people in 7 minutes. This boy is a true hero. Without any hesitation, he jumped into the fire and put his own life on the line to save the people caught up in the disaster. A reporter said, as the whole thing was being shown to the entire country. Island office, Night's Watch office. All the office workers from both of the offices were smiling. They were happy and were cheering. Some of them were jumping, especially the Weller brothers. Geneva, Faulkner, and the board members were watching the whole live thing through an internet TV. All of them were smiling. If only Schmidt could have seen this, one of the board members said. He would have been the happiest person in the world, Faulkner completed. I hope you're seeing this from up there, Adelbert. Aoi Rozu Mansion. The Aoi Rozu, along with all the maids, butlers, florists, gardeners, cooks, and drivers were on the edge of their seats as they watched Izuku repeatedly go into the fire. The Yaoi Orizas were very worried, especially Momo. But when Izuku emerged from the wreckage for the final time and smiled, they cheered and clapped. Momo cried a little, not because of sadness, but because of joy and pride. City Center Hospital, 13's and Izawa's room. This kid Izawa was smiling under his bandages. He could hear some loud noises outside his room and concluded that the people were also watching the news. He saved them all just like yesterday, 13 said to herself. The UA staff room. All the teachers were smiling, grinning, and cheering. I guess we can agree that Izuku will grow up to be a fine hero, Samantha said. Didn't we agree yesterday? Midnight commented. Yes, we did, Nezu said with a smile. With Night Eye and Gran Torino. Izuku could be Toshinori's successor, Torino said to Night Eye. After seeing what he did, I wouldn't objected. All Might and Titan, who were a little worried at first, but quickly forgot about it once they remembered what he was capable of, couldn't be prouder when they saw their son standing triumphantly on top of the cart. They knew that Izuku disowned them, but at this moment, they couldn't care less. They would be selfish and feel proud of their son. Izuku slowly got down from the cart and walked towards the medics and laid them down on the stretchers. Seconds later he was swarmed by the media. Did anyone tell you to save those people? Do you know that you've possibly committed a crime by using your quirk in public? Do you know anyone personally from the people you saved? Did you train yourself to rescue people? Are you planning on becoming a hero? And since Predator Sense was active, he heard something that many didn't hear. Then he realized that he was shirtless. OMG. He has such a hot body. I know, right? Those ABS could cut through titanium. I wonder how they feel. Izuku immediately became flustered. More so when he saw many women were eyeing him, and he did not like it one bit. I need to get out of here fast, I'll just answer a few questions. Then Izuku began to speak. I am Iron Man. Not okay with crowds, so I'll make this quick. He said as he faced the cameras. No, one told me to save the people. My legs kinda moved on their own. Secondly, this was my first time rescuing people from any disaster. Thirdly, I didn't know anyone, and yes, I am planning on becoming a hero. I saved these people not because of fame or to get praised by pro heroes. No, I saved them because it was the right thing to do. Moreover, I don't want to live the rest of my life with guilt. Guilt? All the reporters gave a questioning look. Yes, guilt. The guilt of not saving them, knowing full well that I had the strength and power to do so. If you want to arrest me, then go on, Izuku said as he looked at the police officers, but they didn't do anything. How could they? This kid was basically a public hero. I don't care if I committed a crime. If I ever see people in need, I'll help them, and I'll use my quirk if I have to. I don't care if get arrested. Anyway, I'm starving, so I'll be going now. Izuku directed 60% to both of his legs and launched himself into the sky. The reporters were pushed back a little due to the air. After which the reporters surrounded All Might. All Might, how do you know his name? He's a first-year student at UA. He is a very good and capable boy. He was able to defeat about 100 villains when they attacked the USJ yesterday, All Might said proudly. 100, all of the reporters were shocked. Yes, 100, that too within a minute, Titan said. A minute? Yes. The reporters were even more shocked. He fought 100 villains and saved 71 people before he even became a licensed pro. His parents must be proud, one of the reporters said. They are. But Izuku. Izuku was jumping from rooftop to rooftop, trying to find a place to eat, all the while not wanting to get swarmed. He had to borrow a shirt from a random guy on a rooftop. The person was drying his clothes when Izuku landed on his roof and asked for a shirt. I'm so fucking hungry and tired. Izuku wouldn't have been tired, but directing 20% to the torso for most of the time, as it actively heals his burns, was very taxing on his body. Wait a sec. Highland office. The cafeteria there serves marvelous food, and so he launched himself towards the office. As soon as he entered the building through the helipad, he was swarmed and praised by everyone. After which he had food and went back to his house and fell asleep. Izuku's house, 6 hours later. Izuku woke up and saw that it was 7 p.m. I still have 2 hours left, Izuku thought. He then took a long bath to completely remove all the ash from his body and hair. After which he began to go through his wardrobe. After a few minutes, he decided to wear dark blue jeans, a white shirt, and a dark blue casual coat. Wait, I didn't even ask what the address was. I'm such an idiot. I think should send a message. Izuku turned on his phone, and the first thing he saw was that his Instagram had 99 notifications. He opened the app and saw wide-eyed that his follower count had skyrocketed from 52 followers to 17.5k. So that's a thing that happened. He turned on the TV and saw that nearly every news channel was showing him and the event that took place today. Some were even comparing Izuku's video with All Might's debut video and pointing out the similarities. So much for not being on the television, he frowned. Well, better get the address. Izuku. Momo, I kinda forgot to ask about your address. Izuku waited for about 5 minutes when he received a message from Momo with her house address. Aoirozu Mansion, 9 p.m. Izuku was standing outside a giant gate, very nervous. First things first, I need to apologize to Momo. Then he pressed the doorbell, or rather, the gate bell switch. Please identify yourself, the person behind the intercom requested, but immediately opened the gate as soon as he saw who the person was through the camera. Oh my god, it's you, please come in. Master Yaoirozu is waiting for you. The gates opened and Izuku walked inside. After walking for a minute, a huge mansion came into view. As he drew nearer, he saw that there were a few people standing outside the main door. At first he thought that they were the butlers and or maids who were there to receive him, but it turned out that they were the yaoi orizas themselves. As soon as he caught sight of Momo, his heart skipped 7 beats and only one word came to his mind. Beautiful. She was wearing a dark blue evening gown and white lace scarf. And although the gown covered her entire body, it showed off all of her curves. And Izuku was enthralled. He would have stared at her more, but realized that her parents were also there. Glad you made it, her father said. I thought you would not come, considering all that happened this morning. Her mother said. I didn't want to miss this dinner. Well then come on in, Momo's father said with a smile. Yes, but before that I want to apologize to Momo. Apologies to me? For what? She asked, clearly confused. I ran into danger alone. Oh, that doesn't matter. I'm glad that you went in to save those people, Momo said with a chuckle. Izuku just smiled. Both of them just stared at each other. Momo's parents noticed something. They looked at each other and thought the same thing. They're both wearing blue and white and they look like a couple. Are you two going to just stare at each other, or are we going to have some food? Oh, sorry. Both of them blushed bright red. Izuku was then ushered into a medium-sized private living room where he and Momo's parents were talking about different things while Momo prepared her special tea. So you're saying that the villains actually had a way of killing All Might? Momo's father said. Yes, sir. That means you not only saved your class, you also saved the symbol of peace, her mother added. I guess, but I think the credit goes to Momo. If it weren't for her, who knows what would have happened. Anyway, something Momo mentioned about you is that you live alone. I don't want to pry, but what happened between you and your parents? It's completely fine if you don't want to tell. No, it's okay. I guess this question would have been brought up sooner or later, Mr. and Mrs. Yaoirozu. I will tell you what happened between me and my parents. But I request you to promise that you please keep this a secret. Okay. They look like good people. I hope I don't regret this, as Izuku thought. Then he explained everything, who his parents were, how he was bullied for being quirkless, and how he was alone for most of his childhood. Then he told about how he met Schmidt and the impact he had in his life, and how Izuku will inherit the company once he turns 18. Throughout the explanation, the older yaoi orizas became visibly saddened, especially when he talked about how he was bullied and beaten up by his classmates and how the teachers completely ignored it. You have been through a lot, honestly speaking. If it was any other person they would have turned towards crime ages ago, but your willpower is strong, very strong. Then Momo entered the room with her special tea. After having their tea, all of them talked about other things and got to know about each other more. Then they had dinner, a very good one at that. Izuku was eating his dessert when he saw that it was 11:47 p.m. And he didn't want to overstay his welcome. "I think I'll take my leave." "Alright, but if you ever need someone to talk to, don't hesitate to come here, Mr. Yaoi," Rozu said. Izuku's face instantly brightened up. "I will. Thank you very much, sir, ma'am." "Then do away, sir, and ma'am thing, you can call me Athena," her mother said. "Then call me Takeshi. We are friends, we?" "Yes sir, I mean Takeshi-san, and thank you. You might even become our son-in-law." Athena and Takeshi were in their own world. "Momo, walk him to the gate," her mother said. "Yes mother," she replied, knowing what her mother meant. Izuku and Momo were walking towards the gate under the silver moonlight when Momo suddenly stopped. "Izuku, I really need to tell you something." "What is it?" "It's just that every time I see you or talk to you, my heart does these things it's hard to explain." Izuku knew what she meant and he couldn't be happier, as he felt the same way. "All I want to say is that I really like you. Do you feel like your heart is pounding out of your chest?" "Yes," she said, looking down. "Do you feel like your heart stops and skip a beat whenever I smile?" "Yes." "Well, then the feeling is mutual." "How, what do you mean?" "I mean that I really like you." "You do?" "Yes, I began to have these feelings from the day you first smiled at me, the battle training day, after which I couldn't keep my mind off of you. How the heck have I not turned into a blubbering idiot?" "I too felt the same thing from the day of the battle training," she said with a slight chuckle. After which they just stared at each. They were having this very warm, very foreign feeling in their chest, and before they knew it, both of them were moving towards each other, as if they had a gravitational pull for each other, and then they kissed. Momo unconsciously snaked her arms around Izuku's neck, and Izuku put his arms around her waist. The kiss was not a simple peck, but was deeply filled with love, compassion, safety, and comfort. They kept on kissing for who knows how long, until they had to break the kiss for air. They were panting heavily, their faces were flushed, and both of them had lost the ability to speak. That was miles per hour. Izuku didn't get to complete his sentence, as Momo smashed her lips with his. Both of them were again in their state of comfort and safety. They kept kissing until they had to break for air. "I really liked what Izuku said," face still flushed. "Me too," Momo added. There was a little awkward silence. "Damn it, Izuku, say something." "Momo, tomorrow is Sunday. So I would like to take you on a date if it's okay with you." "Why wouldn't it be?" "Anyway, it's getting late, so I think I should take my leave." "Yeah." Both of them were walking towards the gate, holding hands. After which they said their goodbyes and goodnights. Izuku then hugged Momo one last time before leaving. "First thing tomorrow, figure out my floating ability." Next day, 6 a.m. Izuku woke up early, and the first thing he remembered was the kiss from last night. Her lips were so soft. "I wouldn't mind waking up to her kisses." Izuku blushed at the thought. "Where should I take her today? Oh. I know. First to the amusement park, then a movie, then dinner. After which, if we have time, it may be a moonlight walk." "That sounds good." But first he wanted to see how he could utilize his floating ability. He ate some fruits and walked down to the beach, the one next to his house. After 10 minutes of meditation and another 10 minutes of warming up, Izuku channeled RSE throughout his entire body and he felt weightless, just like the previous times he used it. "So I can float, but how can I use it to help me? I know it will be completely useless if all I do is levitate and not move while levitating. Let me try jumping." Izuku spoke to the voice recorder. Then he jumped, but after covering a certain distance he came back down. "It seems like I can only float when I'm close to the ground. Going higher than 1 meter just makes the gravity weaker around me, like moon gravity. Although it allowed me to jump twice as high and far as Izuku's record." Then he got an idea. "If I can jump 200 meters using 120%, then I should be able to go twice that distance if I use RSE. I should not worry about breaking my legs since I will fall slowly because of the weakened gravity." Izuku then directed 60x2% to his legs, but something weird happened. Both of his legs were being attracted towards the ground, so much so that he began sinking into the beach, as if it were quicksand. Izuku quickly deactivated SS when he was knee-deep in the sand. After 7 minutes of struggling, he was finally free. Then, he decided to use it again, but only on one of his legs. And just like last time, it was pulled into the ground. Strange, using CKE, converted kinetic energy, and RSE, raw solar energy, at the same time, seems to increase the gravitational force of the body part I'm using. That's counterproductive. I wonder if I jump using both RSE and cake, but quickly deactivate the CKE. As soon as my legs leave the ground I should be able to jump instead of being pulled back into the ground, but first, I need to find a rigid surface. Izuku then began searching for a hard surface and found a boulder below the cliff where his house was located. He used 60% CKE and brought the boulder to the beach and hopped on top of it. He first activated RSE and immediately felt weightless and was floating a few centimeters above the rock. But, as soon as he directed 60% C to both of his legs, he was grounded. Izuku looked down to see that the boulder had cracks where his feet were. Holy shit. How hard are my legs being pulled to the ground? No point in wasting time. All I need to do is say something cheesy and jump. He said, as he prepared to jump. To infinity and beyond. He shouted as he jumped. Izuku wanted to deactivate C, but was unable to due to the speed at which he was launched. The speed actually made his neck hurt very much. As soon as he covered 200 m distance, he began to fall towards the earth at a very fast rate, since his legs still had 60% C flowing through them, and moments later, he landed on the sand, making a small crater. Izuku quickly deactivated both cake and rose when he realized that his legs were again being pulled into the sand. He also realized that he was alive considering the speed at which he fell towards the ground. Then he started a mutter session. I think, as soon as I was 1 meter above the ground, the zero gravity returned and substantially lowered the momentum of my fall, after which, my legs were pulled down like last time, but a little faster, and made the crater, but that speed really hurt my neck, Izuku concluded after muttering for 5 minutes. Izuku turned around to see that he was about 400 meters away from the boulder from which he jumped. Well, having cake activated didn't affect the distance of the jump. In fact, I think it helped me by making me landing faster. After struggling out of the sand, again. He decided to practice with this new ability, although he didn't use full 120% and stuck to 70% as it didn't hurt his neck, which was enough to cover 280 meters. After practicing for about 40 minutes and making many sand craters, he got curious about what would happen if he used CKE on his arms. And so, he directed 30% to both of his arms, but nothing happened. He knelt down and pointed his arms towards the ground, expecting them to do the same thing as his legs, but it did not happen. However, as soon as he raised his arm to scratch his head, he felt that his body was being pulled upwards into the sky, although not as fast as his first jump. And instead of falling back down, he kept on gaining height. Izuku began to panic and immediately deactivated C. After landing on the ground, he began another mutter session. And after a few minutes of uncontrollable muttering, he came up with theories. I think my body parts can amplify or lower its gravity, and each part acts in a different direction. My hands when pointed up or away from my body, and legs can pull me upwards. And my legs, pointed down, away from my body, can pull me downwards if I have CKE flowing through them. So, if I direct CKE to my torso, I should be able to float above the 1 meter mark. He directed CKE 20% to his torso and jumped without any CKE flowing through his legs. And his theory was corrected since he was floating 2 meters above the ground. Now that he knew what was going on, he decided to go beyond. Izuku directed 5% to both of his arms and 20% to his torso. Okay, this is it. The moment Izuku's arms were pointed towards the sky, he was flying straight up. This is great and all, but it is useless if I can only move diagonally up and down. Wait, if my body can amplify or lower its gravity directionally, then I should be able to fly horizontally if I make my body horizontal. Izuku decided to climb to about 400 meters and slowly tilt his body forward to be horizontal. It worked. He was moving forward, and 20% flowing through his torso prevented the rest of his body from becoming diagonal when he flew at a slower speed. It seems like my hands are pulling me towards the direction it's pointed, Izuku thought as he was slowly learning to fly. Izuku was happy. He was having fun doing barrel rolls and slow loops like how he did in his dream. Izuku then flew back to his home and took his phone and a pair of goggles. He put on the goggles and opened the speedometer app and put his phone in his pocket. Izuku first flew using 5% in both of his arms. After flying for about a minute, he stopped, checked his phone, and saw that he was flying 15.5 faster than jumping while using 5%. And now, time to test how fast I can go. With that, Izuku slowly increased the CKE percentage on his arms to 10%, hence going 30 miles per hour, then 20% to reach 60, then 30% to 90 mph, and then 40% to 120. He also found out that he could change his direction by tilting his body to the left or right. Izuku wanted to go faster, but realized that he was not a man made of steel, and that his neck would get damaged if he flew faster than 120 kmph. But for him, 120 kmph was enough. Izuku was flying above the ocean when he got an idea. How about a quick dip? He pointed his arms downwards and launched himself into the ocean and went under the water. Good thing his phone was waterproof. He then launched out of the ocean like a majestic dolphin and began flying up. I've seen how fast I can fly now to see how high I can go. He used 40% and kept on flying till it became difficult to breathe. He deactivated Cake from his arms and was now floating. He took out his phone and saw that he was 8,000 meters high, the death zone, and so he decided to limit himself to 7,000 meters, which was still a danger zone, but having 20% directed to his torso helped with the oxygen problem, as the solar healing particles had oxygen present in them. He also discovered that he can use only one arm to fly if he wanted to. He could do it by directing the required CKE to one of his arms instead of dividing it among his two arms. Izuku kept flying for about an hour when he began to feel hungry and decided to go back home. After reaching his house, he went to the kitchen to prepare breakfast, only to see that he had no groceries. He didn't get to buy them because of yesterday's incident. Well, shit. There must be at least a few shops which are open this early today. Or I could also just eat outside. Izuku changed to casual clothes. He wore ash gray shorts with a light blue shirt. He checked his phone and saw that now he had 25.1k Instagram followers. Not as much as Mount Lady or Kamui Woods, but still nothing to joke about. After locking his house, he pondered about flying to the market but decided against it. Izuku was walking towards the market when he was surrounded by 7 kindergarten kids who were playing in a small park. "Oh my god. You're him," one of the kids said excitedly. "You look even taller in real life," a girl with blue hair said. "Cooler too," a boy with green skin added. "I doubt that many pro heroes are much cooler than me," Izuku said with a chuckle. "What do you mean? You're the coolest." "Yeah. You saved all those people." "Any pro could have done that," Izuku replied. "That's why you're a badass. You're not a pro, but you still saved them," a girl with crimson eyes said. She looked to be the smartest one of the group. Izuku thought for a sec and realized that the girl was right. "Well, you got me there," Izuku said with a light laugh. "Anyways, I should get going." "Wait. Please just stay here for a second," one of the boys said as he ran out of the park. About 5 minutes later he came back with a notebook and pen. "Can I get your autograph?" the boy said with shining eyes. "Sure. I want your autograph too." "Me too." Izuku, after taking permission from the boy, tore pages from the notebook and signed on each of them and gave them to the kids. "Izuku-san, do you have any advice on how to become a good hero?" one of the boys asked. Izuku looked at them and smiled. Real are defined by their willpower, their courage, and their untamed desire to help those in need. So if you have all these 3 qualities, I have no doubt that all of you will become good heroes. Heck, all of you may even become better heroes than me someday. Anyway, I should go now because I need to buy food. But before I do that, what are your names? "I'm Akata Kiyukai," the boy with the notebook said. He had black hair with wide eyes. "I'm Yokota Nakota," the girl with red hair and crimson eyes introduced. "I'm Mitsuda Miyu," the girl with blue hair and yellow eyes said. "My name is Kazama Yasuo," the boy with green skin said. "I'm Akari Meho, a girl with snake-like features." "My name is Daigo Tominori, a boy with wings said. "I'm Agata Kamiya," the last boy said. He had sharp teeth and claws. "And I'm Momo Yaoi Rozu." Izuku heard and instantly recognized who the voice belonged to. He turned around to Momo, wearing a tracksuit. "Momo. I didn't expect to see you here," Izuku said. "Me too," she replied. "So how long have you been standing there?" "From the time you were telling them what it takes to be a good hero," she answered. "Who is she?" Okada asked. "I don't know, but she's pretty," Mitsuda said. "Yeah, she's like an angel," Akari exclaimed. "I like her hair," Yokota said. All these compliments made Momo blush and walk towards the kids. Izuku decided to record the conversation. "Is she Izuku-san's girlfriend?" Daigo asked. This made Izuku blush and Momo chuckled. She then knelt down to be eye-to-eye level with the kindergartners. "Yes, I am in fact Izuku's girlfriend," Momo said with a smile. "You're so pretty," Mitsuda said. "And you are too," Momo said with a smile, making Mitsuda blush. "Never giving up is also very important." "Really?" "Yup. And always remember to follow your heart and don't let other people bring you down." "Okay. This Momo. Are you also a hero?" Gata asked. "Not yet, but I'm getting there," she replied. Izuku then stopped the recording. Momo and the children would have talked more but were interrupted by Izuku's stomach growl. This made Momo and the other kids giggle. "Hey. It's not funny," Izuku said while blushing red. "It is," Yokota said giggling. Izuku just puffed his cheeks and looked the other way. "Well, it seems like we should get going before Izuku-san starves to death." But before we do, take these Momo, then proceed to make small silver pendants for each of the kids with their first and second initial engraved into them. Thank you very much for the gift and the autograph. All of them said in unison before running home. I thought you hated breaking the economy, Izuku said with a smirk. It's excusable this time. Whatever you say, Ms. I don't want to break the economy. Hey. Not funny. Anyway, morning walk? Momo asked, trying to change the topic. No, actually I was going to the market to buy groceries. Groceries? Yeah, I was going to buy them yesterday, but you know what happened. Moreover, I just slept the rest of the day because of exhaustion. Then, how about you have breakfast with me and my parents? Momo offered. What? No. Not that I don't want to have breakfast with you and your parents. It's just that I don't want to intrude. What are you talking about? My parents would be delighted to have breakfast with you. More so, now that I told them about our relationship last night. Yesterday night's part made both of them blush. Before Izuku could protest, he saw that Momo had already taken out her phone. Hello, mother. Yes. Can Izuku come and have breakfast with us? She put the phone on speaker mode. Of course. Why not? Thank you. I actually ran into him a few minutes ago. He was going to the market to buy groceries. Groceries? This early? He was going to buy them yesterday, but wasn't able to due to the disaster. Okay, tell him to come. I'll inform the cook to make more of whatever we're having. Then she hung up. See? Momo smiled triumphantly. You win this time, Izuku smiled. On the way to the mansion, Izuku came across a dollar store, or in this case a yen store, and decided to buy a grey wig along with some shades to disguise himself. And at some point along the way, they unknowingly held hands. The Oirozu mansion. Izuku and Momo were walking towards the mansion. They were walking through the garden when they reached the spot where they kissed. Izuku stopped and immediately became red. He thought he could act cool and keep a steady composure, but he couldn't. Momo saw his red face and was confused at first, then she too remembered where they were standing. After a few seconds of awkward silence, Izuku decided to start a conversation. Did you tell them about our K? No, if I did, they would have teased me the entire night. Anyway, when will you be free today? I'm free pretty much all day. Why? Oh, I was thinking of taking you to the amusement park, spend the entire day there. Okay. Izuku and Momo went inside the mansion and were greeted by butlers and maids. Momo then led Izuku to the main dining room where Momo's parents were waiting for them. Good morning, Athena-san, you too, Takeshi-san. The parents recognized the voice and turned to greet him. Good morning, Izuku. What happened to your hair? Takeshi asked. Oh, this is just a wig, Izuku said as he removed the wig. I'm using it as a disguise. Disguise? Athena asked. Yup. I don't like attention or being crowded, he clarified. Izuku was actually surrounded by 7 kindergartners when I found him. I even recorded a video of the interaction. Really? We would definitely like to see the Takeshi commented. Oh no, Izuku was starting to blush. Can I get your autograph? Sure. I want your autograph too. Me too. Mr. Izuku, do you have any advice on how to become a good hero? Real are defined by their willpower, their courage, and their untamed desire to help those in need. So if you have all these 3 qualities, I have no doubt that all of you will become good heroes. Heck, all of you may even become better heroes than me someday. Anyway, I should go now since I need to buy food. But before I do that, however, what are your names? I'm Akata Kiyukai. I'm Yokota Nakota. I'm Mitsuda Miyu. My name is Kazama Yasuo. I'm Akari Meho. My name is Daigo Tominori. I'm Agata Kamiya. What you said to those kids was truly inspiring, Takeshi said. I agree with, Athena added. In truth, those words were told to me by Schmidt the first day I met him. You miss him, don't you? Yes, if he could see how far I've come. Although I wasn't the only one to say inspirational things, Izuku smirked as he took out his phone. What do you mean, don't tell me you record my conversation? Who can play that game? Izuku said, playing the Momo's video, making her blush. Is she Izuku-san's girlfriend? Daigo asked. Yes, I am in fact Izuku's girlfriend. You're so pretty. And you are too. Never giving up is also very important. Really? Yup. And always remember to follow your heart and don't let other people bring you down. Okay. Miss Momo, are you also a hero? Not yet, but I'm getting there. Well, her mother said, smiling. We are very proud of you, Momo, Takeshi said, although, somewhere in the older Yaoi Oriza's mind, a different thought emerged. The way they were interacting with the kids' grandchildren. Then the doors opened and the maids entered bringing the food with them. Izuku and Momo sat opposite to each other and ate their food. After finishing, Momo went to her room to change and Izuku decided that it would be best to ask for permission for the date. Takeshi-san, Athena-san, I would like to get your permission. Permission for what? Athena asked. I would like to take Momo on a date, Izuku asked, trying to sound as sincere as possible. The yaoi Oriza thought for a while before speaking. Well, we grant you the permission to take Momo for a date. But please bring her home before 10, Athena said. Okay. Izuku replied with a bright smile. By the way, where are you taking her? I'll first take her to the amusement park, then to the movies, and after that a little bit of Moonlight sightseeing if we have time left. A few minutes later Momo joined wearing a white top and cream jeans. Are you ready? Yup. They exited the mansion when Athena went to the balcony. Don't forget to enjoy yourselves now. Her mother shouted. We will. Izuku then took out his phone and searched for an amusement park using maps. After selecting the one closest to them, they decided to go there by foot. Talking about random things and holding hands. Izuku also treated her with her favorite ice cream on the way. After reaching the park, they bought tickets and went to the different rides and games. Everything was going well until they rode the roller coaster. Oh my god. That was exhilarating and thrilling. Momo exclaimed, stepping out of the cart. I know right. Izuku said, still out of breath. Huh? Wait, why are you so out of breath? Can't you jump like 100 meters in the air? When I jump, I'm in control. Not strapped to a machine that takes unexpected twists and turns. Which reminds me, I want to tell you about something that I learned today. Later after dinner. Okay. Where do you want to go next? Izuku asked. Let's go to the train ride of extreme horror. Momo said. Really? You think you'll be able to handle it? They spelt extreme with an X, so they must be serious. Come on. It'll be fun. Besides, if anything too scary happens, I'll hold on to you, Momo said, making Izuku blush. Come on, let's go, Izuku said, holding Mom's hand. The couple was making their way towards the train ride of extreme horror when they heard gasps behind them. At first they thought that they were just hearing things. Then they saw that people were staring at them, mostly at Izuku, and whispering things. Izuku wanted to use predator sense and listen to what they were saying, but decided to ignore them. Momo, is there something on my face? Momo turned to look at Izuku. The moment she looked at his face, she realized why people were staring at him. Izuku, you are not wearing your wig, she whispered. Damn it, I think it fell off when we were in the roller coaster. Now what do we do? Let's go on a horror ride, as fast as we can. I'll make you a hat. They were fast walking to the ride, but were stopped by a mob of people. Well, shit, Momo whispered. I don't want to be famous just yet, so you're on your own, she grinned mischievously and walked the other way. No. You traitor. Izuku whispered, but was smiling. 1 hour later. After an hour of answering questions, signing shirts, and taking selfies, Izuku was finally free and was searching for Momo. He was about to call her when he felt a tap on his shoulder. Izuku turned around to see Momo holding a wig. Izuku took the wig and quickly put it on. That was a nightmare. I know, I was watching the whole thing. You were? Momo just pointed towards a bench 17 feet away from where Izuku was. By the way, I bought the tickets to all the rides, games, and shows. Let's go. Throughout the day, the couple went from ride to ride, show to show, and game to game. They were having fun and were happy to be in each other's company. Momo saved the best ride for last. It was 4:30 and the park would close soon, so she decided that it was time. Without saying anything, she took Izuku's hand and started going towards the western side of the park. Izuku was about to ask where she was going, but stopped talking when he saw a certain sign. So here we are, I saved the best ride for last. The Tunnel of Love, Izuku said. Come on. Let's go. They showed the tickets and boarded one of the swan boats, after which they were taken into the tunnel. They entered the tunnel calm, smiling, and holding their hands. They exited the tunnel flustered, blushing, and smiling. Momo's hair was a mess, and her shiny pink lip gloss was all over Izuku's lips. Both of them were as flushed and giggly. But before leaving, Izuku bought her a green onyx bracelet, and although it wasn't that expensive, for Momo it was priceless. Then they took a cab to the main city to watch a movie. After a few moments of discussion, they both decided to watch an action comedy movie. Bet you weren't expecting that type of a movie. The movie was extremely funny, so much so that it made the viewers clutch their stomach in pain, and Izuku and Momo weren't any different. After the movie was over, Izuku decided to take Momo to the best, most expensive restaurant present in the main city. They had their dinner and agreed on taking a moonlight walk. The couple were walking towards a park when Momo asked what Izuku wanted to tell her. Izuku, what was the thing that you wanted to show me? Oh, it's… Then Izuku got an idea. I think it will be better to show you. Izuku knelt down. "Dead on my back." Momo nodded and got on his back and snaked her arms around his neck and buckled her legs around his waist. "And hold on and close your eyes." Izuku then stood up and activated RSE throughout his body. He then directed 5% to both of his arms. "Are you ready?" "Yup." Izuku then pointed both of his arms towards the sky and immediately began flying. After reaching a height of about 1000 meters, he tilted his body horizontally and lessened the CKE percentage to 2.5% to fly as slow as possible. Momo thought that Izuku jumped and expected him to land soon. "Momo, opened your eyes." She opened her eyes and saw that they were very high up. "Wait, are we flying?" "Yup, I learned how to today. Remember last week when I was floating?" "Yeah. I learned how to utilize it. My body does this weird thing with gravity that allows me to float." Amazing. Momo was genuinely happy. And that made Izuku happy. "Want to go a little higher?" "Sure." Momo answered cheerfully. Izuku slowly inclined his boy to go higher, and a few minutes later they were 1700 meters above the ground. "The moon looks so bright from up here, even the stars are so clearly visible, and bright too, so beautiful." Izuku turned and saw Momo, her face wearing a genuinely happy smile, her onyx eyes glistening in the stellar and lunar lights. "Not as beautiful as you," Izuku said, making Momo blush. After flying for an hour, Izuku decided that it was time. He took out his phone and saw that it was 9:30. He then did a final flyby close to the ocean before landing near the Aoirozu mansion. Izuku had his arm over Momo's shoulder. They were pretty tired after the long day of enjoyment, but they did not care. Both of them were happy, and that's what mattered. Once outside the door, both of them said their goodnights and goodbyes. "Good night, Izuku, and thanks for the date, I really had a lot of fun." "You too, and thanks for everything." As Izuku was about to leave, Momo pulled him by the collar and kissed him like there was no tomorrow. They wished each other again. Izuku then turned around and began floating. He looked at Momo one last time before launching into the sky. Thanks for watching my video, and make sure to check out the author of this fanfic, link is in the description. See you next time, till then sayonara.